La lechuza has roamed Texas, Mexico, and other parts of the Southwest for centuries. She is a shapeshifter and a bruja, and can appear as an owl or a woman with a bird body. Her call signals danger and death. Here, Annie Ulrich, costume designer and mask designer, Caroline Rack, the director, and Marina Dio Pedraza, the devising actor for the role of Lechuza, discuss the character and costume.
Yay!
Hey, Marina.
Hi. So I'm
No, maybe.
recording.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm a goat.
Recording.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I did the whole thing. I realized you have to have.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, we've had a lot of talk about the concepts here already. So, yeah, what's the...
I feel like the design on this is pretty clear.
Yeah, I want to talk like mask versus makeup and all that kind of stuff. You don't play another character, so that's,
That's true.
But yeah, let's look at Wingy.
So I'm trying now. I have to be
is
listening, but I can't have it on audio, so I've got to
where
carry
the
this
semester
around.
ended, but it's also hard when it's not mounted on
And keep
something, but I'll
checking
try my best. But
Oh
mounted right
my
here, and then
god.
Because why do anything once?
that's so
dope.
You could do it.
Connor's grinning.
So you got out early.
That's amazing.
and they like
You
I
got
said, when they're
some
actually mounted right, they bend in the right direction. But that's,
Right.
That is beautiful.
I'm
So
pretty excited. And so because this is just a latch that would go on to the mask, so they can take it off pretty easily, and it's flexible, so they can be as like up, down,
It
forward.
looks pretty lightweight too.
Yeah, I would love to. I don't know what your quarantine situation is, but if there's a sterile way we could maybe get this
A
to you
fitting?
guys for you to
Yeah.
play around with it.
I would be willing to do that.
The other guy
It looks amazing. I'm excited.
Yeah, once we get the if you're liking how the movement of them feels, we can start on the road of getting the final real deal version painted.
And do you want to show the imagery? I can't recall if I shared it on with the cast or not, but let's just see what you have.
Yeah,
It was basically full.
since she's the least grounded in sort of human clothing,
Yeah.
I've been playing around with kind of ways to convey her birdness without it looking like this garment or that garment.
If I miss it, then it's going to sit there.
And also keeping in mind that the wings are going to have to be attached to your human body somehow. So,
Yeah.
That's great.
no like
Did
flimsy
you learn anything?
crop top type garments.
No way. I think the one up top in the center, that silhouette, to me is owly bird silhouette.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's
Like a coat, but in the way that an owl has a coat. you know?
Yeah,
Or like
yeah.
when the wings are folded in, how they kind of look like they're wearing a cutaway.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Lunchbox.
Holy shit.
Oh, wow.
Or is that spikes coming out of its head?
I was thinking like a bone crown.
Oh.
Not like
You don't
And then
Oh,
there's
is
like lots of tiny skulls in like sort of a reference to the Tijuana flower crown, but it's bones and like it could be dead flowers or it could be like I don't know other neat organic things. Sorry.
Do you have that drawn on the human version? I can't remember.
The
There-
bone Yeah, so this is, like I said, the actual outfit part I was never super sure about, but
Yeah.
basically with the different masks, I've been playing around with like half masks, bird masks with bone elements involved in them, just because the wings I'm imagining very bony, and this is a bunch of different mask ideas. Varying levels of coverage and feather direction, and
A part of me has an inclination for the owl version. Either have the crown be detachable. Like, I don't know if the owl version you see the crown.
Yep.
That
she looks more just like a normal owl, except for these bony wings.
weird wings, yeah.
It's more of a transformation when we see her. So essentially, like your mask and your face are consistent throughout, but then you gain, your wings expand and your sort of size expands. Because that's one of the things about this that she says she can be an owl that's like 7 feet tall, or she can be a woman that's not an owl at all, but she has an owl, is sort of a familiar, you know, there's all these different blends. So the idea of her being like a 7-foot owl with, and then, or, you know, not a 7-foot owl, but like a woman who's 5'6" with then the additional height of the bone crown is kind of cool, because you'll see the owl at Marina's head height, right, when she's flying around, but then it's like she gains even more altitude, and then obviously like width, hugely with the wings. She takes up all the space when she shows up that way.
I like the 2 masks in the second row, the 2 masks on the outside that kind of hide the mouth.
Yep. Okay.
So then it's
it looks very owly.
yeah. And then I kind of
Will you be able to speak?
Every one is different.
That's a good question.
We could make, I mean, the thing that the lower part is made of could be just like a sheer fabric that we could have paint treatment on it. Like, it doesn't need to be a dense feather wall or like something structured if we do want to go that direction.
That's really cool, because it really reads as a mask, and since everybody has these kind of different styles of mask, and you won't kind of be anticipating in the first half when it's the owl, it's just like, oh cool, it's like her face is the puppet, like you know, then you won't be anticipating that it will actually be the same face throughout but now human. I think it's really cool. I really like pretty much all of them, so I feel
yeah,
like
like
the ones that stay in the shape of the owl most, which are, like the 2 on the outside, I guess, are furthest from human, which is pretty interesting in terms of what we have been talking about with her. She is sort of the furthest from, she's been here the longest. We see her as kind of the most ancient of them, and I'm kind of hearing Marina's opinion on that too.
Yeah, that's great. That's why we make a bazillion versions.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
a bone crown. That's freaking genius. Awesome.
Cool. Okay. Well, I think Connor's next, and he's sitting right next to me. So
Hold on one second.
that.
I'm gonna press a
Bye,
button.
y'all.
I like the goat picture.
Yeah.
I know. All right, see you later.
Bye.
El Chupacabra is a monster that kills goats and sucks their
Almost
blood. He's seen variously in different regions as a terrifying monster or a slightly silly pop culture icon. Here, Annie, Caroline, and Jesus Valles, the devising actor for this role, discuss the character and costume.
Okay, so Chupacabra is the one who I definitely felt like I got the clearest picture from y'all of who you imagined, and sort of immediately was drawn to like sort of more casual kind of street clothes, stuff that had a lot of logos and labels on it, and also it's very funny to try to image search pictures of the Chupacabra, because there are things that range from like really cute and stupid to like almost like concept art for horror movies, like like really frightening images. So, but these ones kind of felt like the tone that I was getting from what we talked about, of like
totally,
like scary but like a little corny still, and just sort of the general thought I had right away was that you have this hoodie that's got sort of Chupacabra scaly texture on it. It's got spines, playing with the idea, like the baseball cap under the hoodie look, that the brim of the hat could be like a snout shape, and that the hood sort of becomes the head around it. And then just sort of a first pass at like colors and ideas. I love the idea that the hoodie has like a Chupacabra logo on it.
Yeah.
Like he's advertising himself.
Yeah.
And then I'm not really sure I like what's happening exactly with the eyes, but I couldn't. It's hard to draw something that you're like, how is that gonna work? I don't really know yet. But yeah, that the eyes are sort of on the hood somehow. The spines are coming out of the hoodie, and then this sort of depends on what
Yeah.
you and Caroline imagine you
Yeah.
doing. But like, if we could get clawed gloves, that would be awesome. I know they definitely pose movement challenges though, so if you need to do lots of grabbing and touching, we might need to revisit it.
Yeah, we don't know yet, so we could, in theory, work around it.
And we can put, like, there are ways to put little sticky grips on it, but definitely, like, if there's any sort of physical fight type stuff happening, or like picking someone up or stuff like that, the claws might be more of a problem than just like grabbing a object off a counter or something like that.
Good thing to think about. Yeah, what thoughts do you have, Jesus?
I think this is really cool. Like, I think just looking at the sort of like different ideas you're pulling from, like that idea of like sort of like streetwear, and there's like a hype beast quality to it that I think is pretty appropriate for what Chupacabra is. So yeah, I dig this. This is really cool.
Cool. And the colors are not like, I don't feel married to the colors at all. It was sort of a like, well, let's just get something on there so that we can talk
Yeah,
about it.
I mean,
We're gonna
I
wait till
do
it's
think,
getting
however, that
closer to
it
dark
does,
so
like,
they can
just
show us their
looking at it, like, even not knowing, like, if I didn't know what this was, I would know what this was. Like,
Okay.
I think that even the colors are, for me, I'm like, yeah,
They're
this
gonna
is totally,
bring it back, yeah.
I immediately know the reference.
Yeah. Here.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's very like flag of Mexico. You know?
Yeah.
It's a small tree right now. It's like this.
I love the pants too, that idea of like there's an animal scale quality to the pants, but they look like pants that you'd wear if you were cool. You know?
Yeah. Well, and what I was imagining, 'cause, you know, as I've been designing it, I'm like, okay, how realistic are you being right now? And it would be pretty
Sorry, I'm
simple
trying
to
I
like
have to follow this at the same
make
time,
some
so
sort of
I can't answer what
template,
the
either with a cut paper stencil or like
Coming up on
some
the
sort
button
of
to press the button
sponging
again.
thing to just apply
With
that
like a
pattern.
shiny paint or something, yeah, that could look really cool.
Yeah, and the hoodie too. If the hoodie could be scaly looking or like have something going on to it with it as
Just
well.
the shine, that kind of sense of shine, like yeah, if it's the same stencil but on a deeper green and a lighter green or something, where you almost can't see the color change, but the tone, the texture and shininess is there, that would be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a thought about like a lighting design thing about the hood, whether the brim would block his face excessively, but at the same time, we know it's the same actor. Like we know the face, you know what I mean? It's not like the thing where you're like, I never saw your face. We're never left in the dark about who it is. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah, and if
a little bit, like how long can that brim really be?
right, well, and it would definitely always going to block out any lights coming from straight down. Like I don't know how much side lighting abilities
I
you're going
think
to
we
have
can
in
use
this
it in
case.
front. It's just something I have to remember to put in our notes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think we can work around it for sure.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing to be keeping in mind, and it should just be as simple as like making sure it's anchored to the hat in a certain way, but I know like in profile we'll want to be careful that the hood doesn't go too far and
Right.
cut off like profile visibility. But we could also, there's also a version of this where maybe there is no hat brim and that like hang on, that like the hood is the mouth or something like that. Sorry, I'm going to use actions, not words, because that's
Yeah, it's making me think because everyone else has some form of masking. So it's figuring out, in a way, maybe it's good that we can't maybe we want to lean into like not seeing his eyes really even more, you know, something kind of, so we get these like limited perceptions of who it is.
right.
In the same way that like, isn't it like the Wizard of Oz or something where all the characters are like actually people that she knows? Maybe it's not the Wizard of Oz, but you know, that kind of feeling of like, wait, I've seen your voice, I've heard your voice, and I can see part of your face, but not all of it. Like maybe we lean into that.
Right. But it is, if we are like not liking it, oh, here we go. Okay. This is the one downside to the like drawing in digital program, but like having something like that where it's
okay.
like eating his head kind of look.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. It's like those
So
sharks.
That's another, yeah, exactly. That's like another direction we could go if we do want to have more face.
Yeah.
And
it even makes me wonder if like then his face has some either makeup or something where he's the inside of the mouth.
Yeah.
Like you could kind of have like a strange quick face paint or strip of something over the eyes or whatever that where it doesn't look like it's eating his face so much as he is talking from inside the mouth of himself.
Yeah. How is there switching back and forth between Chupacabra and
at the moment, no, not really. Like we don't know how much time we have before Chupa has to show up, but I think there's time.
Okay. Because I've found putting on makeup can be done pretty fast. It's the getting it off quickly that always causes problems and almost always ends with the actor running on stage very red-faced,
sweaty
from
face.
all the friction. Well, and like the friction of like rubbing it, and if you have skin like mine, you just like poke it and it turns red. So.
Right. Yeah, I think we don't know for sure about the back and forth of that yet. So makeup is maybe not something to depend upon, but we can just leave it in our minds as a possibility. There is a chance that at the end, like when Xiao goes and rescues, tears down the facility in shadow, that we may want to see her with her actual family. Like, but it could be backlit. I mean, there's ways we could get around that.
Right.
When we kind of tear everything down.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not sure yet, but it's an interesting thing to think about, like whether I think since we don't really fully see the faces of the other spirits, we want to lean into not fully seeing the face of Chupacabra. He can probably get away with a little more because he is sort of the most modern and present.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm saying I don't know, but it's just really good. It's helping me think.
Totally fine. And this, I mean, the building aspects of this costume are far less involved than some of the others. So I'm not as worried about not having answers right now.
Right. Okay. Any other thoughts on Chupacabra from you, Jesus?
No.
You're good? You like this?
Yeah, it's great.
Cool.
I do too. All right, one question. I see the spikes. Is it like spikes sitting loosely? I guess I'm wondering about the construction. Is it spikes sitting individually on the hoodie, or is there like a spine or seam? Or do you have a sense of that?
I think it would have to be there's like a strip of some sort that's solid, and that the spikes are like very well adhered to it, and then they go up through the hoodie, something like that. So that or because otherwise, I guess I would say we'd have to be down for the idea that the spikes are a little floppy, which might be hilarious in the way that we want it, in a good way. Because unless there's like a solid base underneath the fabric, then it's just going to be like doing something like that, which, like I said, would be funny, but maybe not the right kind of funny.
La Llorona is the weeping woman who roams by rivers and arroyos, searching for her own children whom she killed. She will steal you away if she finds you. Here, Annie, Caroline, and Lori Navarrete, the devising actor for La Llorona, discuss the character and costume.
Even though you were screaming at her.
This was mostly me playing around with different shapes and proportions and things. I ended up going pretty far into, like, I really liked we had talked about her also being, she's resilient and she has this sort of fighter spirit to her, and how to convey that, or convey her resilience, and also the idea that she's a fighter, and she's trying to figure out how she can resist all of the forces that are happening, and so I was looking at taking those more traditional silhouettes and combining them with things that felt a little bit warrior-like. And like specifically had looked at sort of the shoulder details on Matador wear, and then I don't know what the garment is called, but it sort of was like a different version of like a shoulder epaulette thing. And then had also looked at pictures of female soldiers from the Mexican Revolution, like the sort of the crossed. I mean, in the historical research, they're like bullet straps, which I don't know that we need to go there, but the idea of like sort of like cross strapping. And then in these ones specifically, this isn't really founded on anything related to the historical research, but the idea of like there being something more solid around her hips, like almost like hip protector shield things. And then going through this stuff last night, had noticed that Katrina was mentioned, and that could be something that's incorporated into all of that stuff, that if she has sort of that face paint. I had been looking at way back, I had also looked at and sort of latched on to the sort of Tijuana floral head, like very Frida Kahlo, the floral headpiece. And then other just like women dressing up as Llorona. So this is not really historical.
Do you know the story behind the Tijuana headpiece?
No.
So the Tijuana headpiece is actually a baptismal gown for infants. So I think it's actually very befitting.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, throwing that water element in there. Great. And then I had sort of been playing with the idea in some of these of the veil, both like as another bridal reference, and also sort of like death shroud reference. But that's one of those things that would be a lot of complication to your movement on stage. So again, this is just sort of me throwing a lot of things out there. So whatever you're responding to, I'd love to hear about.
Yeah, I think all of the images that you've shown, I think they're all really wonderful. I think they're in the right direction, because what I was afraid of is that, because a lot of the time the Llorona gets misrepresented through, I do think, through her garment, and that it looks more like a muumuu, or it looks more like a nightgown than an actual either gown or an actual costuming of sorts. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a skirt or a gown, but I do think that it needs to have a little bit more purpose than just like a muumuu looking thing. What I will say is that what I really like about your sketches is that they are addressed, because I do think that is the right direction.
Okay.
But what I think that some of the things that we talked about yesterday is the overwhelming sense of fabric within the gowns. So like, have you ever seen, because there's also this incredible dress from the region of Sinaloa in Mexico, where the sleeves actually continue going, and it almost looks like it has like an opening so you can see the hand. So I think it stops at the forearm, like around here, but the actual sleeve continues to go. And what it is it's used for actual ceremonial like dances and stuff like that. So it'd be very interesting to see. It would be interesting to see a different shape in the arm, almost like everything. Like when I think of the Llorona in regards to the costuming, it feels like everything should just be elongated. Everything should just be very, very long, very, very long.
So almost like breasts dragging on the floor, sleeves going past your fingertips.
Exactly.
And it pulls you away from a really human shape in a way. You are a feminine shape. It's
exactly.
So broad at the waist, and I'm really digging the idea of the blended time periods and the shoulder details and crossing. If that's because I like one of the things we're doing with the first comes back in there's so many versions of her. There's pre-Columbian versions. There's it just goes on and on. And so having it's like she's carrying all the weight of all these different versions of what she's been.
And I really love that you are having more Spanish influence on the shoulders, because there is a hidden metaphor there, I think. of like all Mexica people.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that there is a hidden metaphor there of like all the Mexica people have constantly been bogged down by colonialism, right? And the one imperial, like what the Mexica people had to endure was, you know, the invasion of the Spanish. So it's very interesting that that is where you put him, because I think that that's the right direction too. But and like to Caroline's point, where I kind of like that kind of thought of the costuming always being feminine. It always needs to look femme, but anything that can also attribute to it not being of this realm, because I think that the femme and, you know, the shoulder and cross section, I think that that will allude to the human aspect of La Llorona, but all of like the lengthening and the flowiness and the fabric, things like that. I think that that will also aid in like the telling that it is not necessarily human anymore.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. And just for I know this is probably like way far beyond where we're at right now, but if there is this sort of incredibly long dress, super long sleeves, that's not gonna get in the way of anything that you need to do on stage, I assume, right? Or we're cool working with kind of how to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing: is like I would be okay with working around it, just because I do think I don't know how you feel, Caroline, but I would feel okay with like working around it, because it would also give me an opportunity to play with costume on stage.
Yeah.
And what that would potentially look like.
Physical limitations that we're aware of and can work with could actually help us shape what she does in a really interesting way. And then one last thought in terms of voluminous fabric, this idea of voluminous fabric is we have an idea that may or may not come to pass, but that there's a moment where, say, Zaira would get up on the kitchen island counter and like out from below her, it's almost like this would not be in her costume, but it would appear to be from within her costume, like tons of blue fabric that come out from her that we as puppeteers are manipulating, and that like the little girl is almost drowning in this kind of ocean that's being created by La Llorona that appears to come from within her.
Yeah.
So I think if she has this voluminous skirt, it will be easy enough for us to rig that from kind of a properties side, but I'm just letting you know that that's out there as,
Yeah.
but, you know, in terms of like connecting the colors of what's already blue on her costume, we might want to have some conversations about that.
Yeah.
If that comes to be.
Yeah, I think whatever comes out of her skirt should definitely be like what she's made out of in some way.
Yeah.
Or I like the idea that there's not really a interruption between the two.
Right. So some thinking about ways to like link how that works. The scenic is going to have a lot of kind of surprise, you know, the cupboards open and we can walk through them from the back. So like characters come in and out of cupboards and from behind things. And there's a lot of sort of surprise entrance places. So it will be just one more thing it will be inside her skirt.
Yeah. And also if her sleeves are huge too, and there's sort of some confusion going on with her limbs already, there could be slits in the sleeves where more fabric is in.
That's cool. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so stuff to think about for that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. So go ahead.
No, I wanted to make sure before you left, and just to clarify with Caroline, that I think I want to keep sketching ideas and sending them to everybody. So we'll touch base about the best way to get them to you, and we can keep talking about it.
Yeah, we will make a folder that's accessible to the cast that has stuff that Annie, you want to place in a folder accessible to the cast, and we can have another place for other stuff if that's easier.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. And because I'm currently right now, I'm just doing as much research as I can just so that I can character build. So if I think of something, or if I come across something that I think that might help in regards to costuming, I'll definitely be, I'll send both of you kind of like an update of where you guys are.
Yeah. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
El viejo con el costal has many names. El viejo del costal, el hombre con el saco are two of them. He is a man-like spirit who carries a sack on his back. and steals children away in it.
Thank you, Clementine,
In our show,
so
we're
much.
combining his legend with La Mano Peluda, a disembodied hand covered in fur that steals children. Here, Annie, Caroline, and Connor Hopkins, the devising performer for El Viejo, discuss the character and costume.
And then this, Connor, I don't know if Caroline showed you, but this was sort of one version from way back, sort of leaning into the ice uniform part, but making it sort of gross and distressed and dingy, and leaning into the mask thing, like completely hiding his face. I definitely find, personally, masks that are like almost blank face to be more spooky than like snarly monster face.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's similar to what we did in the run, which was just sort of a really quick mask.
Yeah, put some
with the black eyes and
paper clay on
well, yeah, I put like shitty clay that cracked, and we were like, well, that looks good. I mean, it was very let's keep the cracks, you know.
Yep.
But it has a deadness. We talk a lot about him being a void, that he's just taking and taking because he's empty, that he is colonialism that has nothing to offer and only takes but never is full and never satisfied by it. Just like mindless taking.
He's got extra arms, which I have no idea how like feasible it is to have. Like if both of the arms need to be puppet arms and both of your hands need to be inside the sack to do what you do. Or if there's a way, or if the arm is something that can be like take it or leave it, depending on the scene. Like in some scenes you are using it, and in some scenes it's just a sleeve kind of hanging there.
I think, we had just two completely fake arms last time, right? Because I have to hold up the head of the puppet, and then also the idea was to be able to move the sack around.
Yeah, sorry, in the sack itself. Otherwise, it's like a ton of work to just, when you could just wear a costume and a mask, you know?
Yeah.
So I think we're still going, well, what's the value earned from having the bag? And it really has to really work as something. One thing we talked about is that the bag itself might talk. Like this faceless thing doesn't have anything to say. But do the kids say something, or does the bag say something?
That might be a good answer to my like wanting there to be these like extra mouths on the costume somehow. And if the bag is the thing with the mouths, then Connor could actually manipulate them like a Muppet mouth.
Yeah.
Which would be disturbing.
Yeah, we had this idea of like it would be a bunch of kids stuck in the bag, but I think it was there's only so much you can do in a cramped thing, whereas something like a mouth, it's just like there would be clear spots to put your hands in and do it. Whereas I think we were never able to create the impression that it was kids struggling in there. It just was like, how's that happening? Oh, what's happening? Oh, like it didn't.
It didn't quite. The idea originally, I think, was I would even have like a stick with a hand on one end and a foot on the other end that I would be able to stick out through the bag.
Yeah.
So that you would see like the kids struggling.
Where then the optical illusion is interesting, because you're like, how is he doing that behind his back? And it's because he's not. He's in the bag. So that kind of moment where it really only pays off if something spectacular happens with the bag. Otherwise, we're like, nobody knows and why do this, because it's way harder for sure than wearing it.
Yeah, because everybody, I think, just assumed that was just me with that. Because they also see me at the beginning, and I think it is.
The first time we did it, the first time we were still messing around with it, and I don't think we know. So let's just kind of tell you we made a version where it was like Connor wearing the mask in a costume, and then he later put on the puppet head and wore the bag, like he was inside of the bag. So like the first time
did he still have the mask on, or
no? He wore it the first time, like just as a costumed character. And then he took a head, like a puppet head with the same, an identical mask on it, and walked around with the bag, and he was inside the bag. That said, it is a bit of a thing to get in and out of that costume.
Girls.
And if you're needed for shadow puppetry and stuff like that. I'd forgotten that we never kind of thought through the practical stuff of this, so it's good we're talking about it now. Like, how advantageous is it to have the bag And if not, do we just costume you?
Yeah, and there may be a mechanism by which if I don't know if I'm even necessarily need to be holding the bag if it's attached to me, and I have like a string or a rod or something attached to my arm. So when I move my arms, it makes the bag move around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that might be more useful to like just let him wear a costume and puppeteer the bag than to have him be in the costume. Because there are definitely limitations on what you can do if you're stuck in a bag, you know, and the bag can't get set down or removed or, yeah, maybe it's that the bag is like tall or something like that. And there is some strings or something where the mouth can be like, you know, I don't know. This is totally new now. I'm trying to think, is there a way to reverse this?
Yeah. Because particularly since there is going to be a lot of coming and going through like hidden entrances in the walls and the cabinets and things like that, and so
it was advantageous to be able to take the backpack off for sure.
It would be, yeah.
To not have it all the time.
My first exit was through the wall, and I had to like get down, and I couldn't have done it with the bag on.
Yeah. I think we don't know yet what we want, but I'm glad we're talking about it because we have to see.
No, and that, I mean, even having like a direction to kind of just start sketching ideas to send to you, because I definitely thrive on people like responding to, like seeing what people are responding to and kind of rolling with that.